In 14 AD, the Romans left England because their hometown Italy was being invaded, leaving the people of England with no military defenses and no structured government. In 1450 AD, the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes together formed the Anglo Saxons, invaded and first settled in England. After taking over, the Jutes settled in Kent, the Angles in Anglia, and the Saxons in Wessex, Essex, Sussex, and Middlesex. Each area was ruled by a separate king, but altogether they were very similar in culture and were the Anglo-Saxons. There were nobles, ceorls, and slaves. Slaves had mineral rights, one of which being that they could earn money another way and buy their freedom. Ceorls were just regular freemen with regular rights. They made up the Anglo-Saxon army. And nobles stood at the top of the social class and drank, fought, and stood behind the king, who stood over everybody. Crime and punishment. Crimes were handled either through the death penalty or a fine because there were no jails. For example, certain body parts cost a certain amount of money. For instance, if you cut off someone's foot, you'd owe them 66 shillings. Or if you commit a bootless crime. A bootless crime is a crime such as arson, housebreaking, open theft, obvious murder, and treachery of your lord. It is a crime punishable only by death. Government. The Anglo-Saxons had a very similar government to us in terms of balance and ideals. They had three branches: the judicial, the executive, and the legislative branch. However, they had a king who stayed in power his whole life, and they were considered a monarchy. Since they were this way, the king had power over all the branches and could do or change almost anything he wished. Transportation. Traveling was fairly common. However, travelers for some reason needed to make noise with horns or shout, and if they didn't then, they were considered outlaws and would be murdered on the spot. Armor and weapons. The warrior's goal with the weapons and clothes was to be light and be able to move fast and fluidly. They wore the best things that they could in order to maximize this. They wore chainmail and a helmet to be able to move fast, and brought a sword, a spear, and a shield into battles. The fall. They were invaded but not taken over by the Vikings in 793, avoiding being conquered by giving them a portion of Britain, which was called Daneland. Created by the Danes, just like all great things, this had to come to an end. The King Alfred was their last king, and the Saxons were conquered in the Battle of Hastings and were completely taken over by the Normans.